So Apple's just announced a new event on November 10th. That's next Tuesday. They're calling it One More Thing. What the hell does that mean? Let's discuss. Hey there friends on YouTube, my name's Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. You know, only about 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to my channel. That seems like a small number. If you're here and you've been watching, then please. Anyway, sales pitch over. So Apple has announced that next week, November 10th, they're going to have their third event since, I think, June when WWDC happened. They're going to have another event where they're going to release or announce more products, which, you know, I mean, this is crazy. Apple, they don't usually do this, but they are. And what are these products going to be? Well, everybody from Bloomberg to Verge to, basically, there's been a lot of conjecture. But at this point, it looks like there's going to be at least 2, if not 3, MacBooks released with the all-new Apple Silicon. Not silicone, silicon. The all-new Apple Silicon. Now, if you don't know what that is, Apple is basically leaving Intel chips behind, and they're transitioning over to their own in-house silicon. Basically very similar to what the iPhones and the iPads run, so they're going to be able to keep things in-house a little bit more. There are some benefits that we'll talk about. There are some potential detractions that we'll talk about, but that's what we're looking at for this event. At least 2, maybe 3. I believe it was Bloomberg reported that in some new beta code for the next operating system, Big Sur, there were 3 different models discussed in some kind of deep in the darkest depths of the code. 3 models. So that's where the conjecture comes from, that we might get 3 MacBooks. MacBook Air, MacBook Pro 13, and 16. That in and of itself is really exciting. We'll talk in a little bit about whether or not you should consider getting one of these things or thinking about getting one of these things and what it all means for the future of Apple. But there are also some other conjectures about what might be announced at this event. Now, they call it One More Thing, and if you've followed Apple, which, I mean, most of us have, if you've followed Apple for a long time, One More Thing was always the thing that Steve Jobs said when there was something really important to announce. Everyone's trying to figure out what the One More Thing is. They're looking at the invite to the event to see if they can figure it out. They've discovered that if you look at the AR doodle, or whatever it is, that you can get from the invite, then you can see that it's an Apple logo closing or falling down. So that nobody knows what the One More Thing is. It could just be that they're saying one more thing, as in, like, you know, we already announced a lot of other stuff, but here's one more thing. All the stuff about Apple and their invites and their Easter eggs and the little mysteries around what they call things, whatever. There have been some things discussed that could possibly be released in this One More Thing event. First one that I'm most excited about is the AirPods Studio. They're the over-the-ear AirPods that have been discussed for a while now, and we thought we might see them this year, but John Prosser of Front Page Tech did say that his latest info was that we wouldn't see them until March of 2021. I kind of hope that's... I want AirPods Studio in my stocking at the holiday season, so I hope that's not the case, but it very may well be. There have been some discussions of setbacks in production, etc., etc. Another, AirTags. AirTags are basically like things that you can put on stuff you don't want to lose, and then you can do, it's basically like a Find My Whatever in a similar vein to Find My iPhone or Watch or any of those kinds of things. Yeah, if you lose your keys, you lose your wallet, you lose your backpack, I don't know. We aren't really going outside very much to lose things these days. You could also probably use them as tracking devices for your significant others, I guess, if that's something you feel like you need to do. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge, but AirTags, we've been talking about AirTags for a good while now, a couple of years, maybe 18 months. AirTags are always discussed when these events come up, and they have not surfaced. So AirTags, to me, are kind of becoming the air power of this most recent time here with Apple. Air power never materialized. AirTag seems to be kind of vaporware at this point. So we'll just have to see. There are some other sort of dark horse outsider things. People are talking about improved Apple TV, which I don't think is likely. They're talking about iPad Pros with the new A14 Bionic, Superdonic, whatever it is, chip, which I don't know. I guess that's possible. It'd be great to see the iPad Pro have the same horsepower as the iPad Air. But we just got a new iPad Pro this year, so who knows? Then there's the discussion of Apple Glass, which is like the AR-enabled glasses that Apple has been working on for quite a while. And I don't think those are anywhere near ready for prime time. I don't think we'll see anything about those until 2021, maybe 2022 even. It's just the way that I feel about it. Those are some of the possibilities of what might be announced at this November 10th One More Thing event. Let's talk a little bit more about these Apple Silicon Macs, MacBooks, and what they might mean. Now, one thing that's fantastic about the iPhones, the iPads, and anything that uses the Apple A-series chips is that they're very fast, they're very efficient, much more so than the current Mac lineup with the Intel chips inside. Basically, these Macs run hot. They don't have as good a battery life as they could, and Apple Silicon could change this. Apple Silicon is not just the chip, it's a lot of different things that go on around the chip, GPU, and all other kinds of it's a lot. So it's not just switching Intel out for Apple Silicon. It's going to be more involved in that. The potential is Apple would be able to once again more tightly integrate macOS and iOS, as well as just the overall speed. In the WWDC presentation where they first announced Apple Silicon, they showed Final Cut Pro doing crazy ProRes 4K different things that are basically impossible on even some of the most powerful Macs were happening on a Mac Mini with an A12 chip in it. So the potential for the speed could really position Apple for just crazy. This could be a huge leap forward for Apple and for computing in general if it does match the speeds that it seems like it was going toward when we first saw something running on Apple Silicon. It also means that laptops and desktops have the potential to be much more efficient than they were before. So if you get 8 to 10 hours of juice on your MacBook Pro right now, it's possible on something like the MacBook Air that you could double that and get 20 hours of battery life if it's as efficient as the A-series chips are in other devices like the iPhones and the iPads. It also brings up the possibility of smaller form factors. One of the reasons why computers take their shape as they do is for cooling purposes, and the current MacBook Pros, if you've been paying attention, have struggled over the past few years to be able to be as thin as Apple wants them to be, as well as appropriately cooled so as not to thermal throttle and slow down and that kind of thing. Right now, my 2019 MacBook Pro is, the fan is blowing. It could be a huge deal. Better thermal performance, better speed, more processing power, better battery life. This could be a big deal. Apple just announced that their Mac sales were up by 28% in this most recent quarter. And a lot of that has to do, I'm sure, with the work from home kind of situation that we're all in these days. And honestly, no matter what happens with the current situation with COVID, etc., I think that the work from home bubble has been burst, and now like companies are going to find that there are benefits to this. Now I don't see us going back when the COVID thing ends. I see a lot of people still staying at home or maybe doing part-time or something like that. It could be potentially more efficient money-wise for the companies, and it could be just an overall sea change in how we do business and we do our work. And if these Mac sales are anything like an indication of where that's going to go, then I think that's the case. So these new Silicon Macs being announced and being released, coming at a time when, I mean, honestly, Mac sales are up more than one quarter from the so yeah. But should you consider buying one if they do in fact announce them and they do in fact come out sometime in the near future? That is a hard question to answer. The rule of thumb that's probably safest for the most people when it comes to new technology like this is wait for generation 2. Let the early adopters be the ones who go through all the hassles of all the different bugs and everything else that goes along with it. And this is a significant change. I mean, Mac OS is changing quite considerably. The hardware that runs Mac OS will be changing considerably. So there's really a lot of moving parts here that could not move the way that they're supposed to. If you are a creative professional, say, if you do audio or video or graphic design or any of those kinds of things, and you rely on a Mac to be that central hub for all that work that you do, it would be really hard to recommend, at least like right out of the gate, that you go get one. I mean, I do a lot of audio work as well as this video work, and just yesterday I discovered that when I updated to macOS Catalina, one of my hardware units that connected to the computer via USB no longer connects because it's not supported in Catalina, and it's an older device that's not going to be updated. So there's just a lot of stuff. You got to be really, really careful when you do this. All in all, I've been really excited since that first presentation of Apple Silicon to see what this means in terms of computers. Will we see 3 computers? We don't know. Will we see the MacBook Air and the 13-inch MacBook Pro? I mean, those machines alone, if those are the first 2 machines that come out, that says to me that Apple is very serious about this, and they're very serious about the very aggressive timeline that they put themselves on, because the MacBook Air is their best-selling computing product. And the MacBook Pro 13 probably is not all that far behind. The 16 is a little bit more of a niche product, but those 2 smaller computers are a goodly portion of Mac's sales overall. And the fact that they're going with this new technology right out of the gate with something like that, and not something that's sort of like off to the side where they can work the bugs out, says that maybe they're very confident about this and it's going to go extremely well. We'll just have to wait and see. But first, we have to wait and see what we see on November 10th, which I am kind of excited for, because I love it when there's big sea changes in computing. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. What do you expect to see? Do you care about Apple Silicon? Do you care about any kind of AirTags or any of that kind of stuff? I mean, what do you want to see out of this event? Let me know down in the comments below, and we'll have a boisterous discussion as always. Once again, thanks so much for being here. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. Again, only 30% of people who watch this channel are actually subscribed, and I'd love to see that number grow larger. If you want to become a member of the channel, if you've been here for a while, if you want to dig deeper into the Painfully Honest experience, there's a membership button down below where you can join and get other special things that go along with being a member of the channel. There's merchandise down there. There's all kinds of different stuff. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest, it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out.